Thank you. We have been suffering through news notifications and lockdown drills for almost a quarter of a century, while countries around us enact common sense gun laws that keep their children safe. It is not just Uvalde or Park Rose or Sandy Hook, it is gun violence incidents in our own community. It is in Portland Public Schools, it is in Happy Valley, it is across state lines in Washington. Last year was the deadliest school year on record. There were over 300 school shootings, amounting to a school shooting pretty much every day. That is the highest number of gun violence incidents in schools that we've seen since we began tracking, and nearly quadruple the number of incidents in an average year. We have been tracking gun violence incidents in schools for so long that we know how many there are in an average year. It has been 24 years since Columbine, 12 years since Sandy Hook, 5 years since Parkland. Children are still being shot at school. We are tired of grieving our friends, our families, our neighbors, and our children. Every day in the United States, 120 people will die from gun violence and hundreds more will be wounded. Firearms are the leading cause of death for children in the United States. We're supposed to be focused on our education. Instead, we're focused on locating the quickest exit. We're supposed to be reading the classics. Instead, we're reading other children's eulogies. We are grieving for children we didn't know because we could have been them. We are grieving for children we did know. Children who grew up knowing active shooter drills better than the Pythagorean theorem. We are grieving for the victims of gun violence across America, directly or indirectly, and because of a fatal lack of inaction, we are all victims of gun violence. We are tired of grieving.
Last September, students at this school, our school, herded each other into the office, or the textbook room, or went into the classrooms of teachers we didn't even know. Last September's, your teachers told you it wasn't a drill, because it wasn't. Last September, each of us felt the fear that we know every school shooting victim has felt. Last September, we thought we could have been the next news notification, the next eulogy, the next to die in a country that refuses to enact laws to save us. We weren't, and because of that, we are lucky. Other kids didn't get the same opportunity. Evelyn, Hallie, and Will didn't. We should not become desensitized to this violence, to the crimes that these students face. We need to take action and make those in power listen to us. Some of us are already 18 or will be turning 18 soon. In the next few weeks, Clackamas will be holding a voter registration drive to help everyone sign up to vote, check their voter registration, and understand the voting process. If you have a driver's license in Oregon, you can automatically be registered if you check off that box. If you're 16 years old, you can be registered in advance of your birthday. And if you don't know whether or not you're registered, we can help you find that information. It takes less than 2 minutes to get registered to vote, or even check if you're registered to vote. Something that is taken for granted by so many students in the US. Those 2 minutes are fatal for students across our country who will die before they get the opportunity to vote. For them and for us, we have a responsibility to speak up, be engaged, and be involved. You can also visit vote.org, which is also on one of our posters that we have with the QR codes. This will help take you through the steps of checking your registration, registering to vote, how to vote by mail, and setting up election reminders. For younger students, you can pledge to vote, and they'll text you a reminder on your 18th birthday. The voter registration deadline in Oregon this year is April 25th, which is usually 21 days before Election Day. This means for all of us, there is still time. And unlike the leaders who have failed us, we know that time is something we can't take for granted. Oregon lawmakers are currently considering multiple pieces of legislation for gun violence prevention. These laws would ban ghost guns, prohibit fire alarms in government buildings, and build on current laws that allow school districts to ban firearms on campus. The ones being considered on the state level are House Bill 2005 and Senate Bill 348, while the U.S. Congress has yet to pass more influential legislation. Now, what does this mean? It means that if we want proper gun control legislation, we need to talk to those in power. We need to rally those in power. Not just our state senators and Congress people, but our school board members so they can help advocate for us. And especially those in the U.S. Congress. We've had a landmark gun control bill be passed in the U.S. Congress, but other than that, there is very little legislation that is going on that floor. The federal level is the best way to make change. What does this mean? Well, it means we have to contact a lot of people. Because common sense gun laws like these ensure safe, thriving communities. Common sense gun laws mean that we don't have to be afraid, that we don't have to grieve, and we don't have to live like this. Common sense gun laws save lives. Woo!
Any social studies teacher in the building will tell you that we are not a self-governing country. We are a representative democracy, and if our representatives have failed us, it is our responsibility to tell them. It is our responsibility to advocate for the issues we want them to vote on. On posters around us, we have the contacts of our federal and local government representatives. These representatives are specific to Clackamas High School. If you don't live near here, you can check your representatives online. We have their phone numbers. We have QR codes for their emails. We have their names. We have to speak up. Our votes matter. They aren't just a number. They're how our voices can be amplified and used to sway issues in our city, our state, and our country. Decisions are made by those who show up. No one should feel the way that we do when we walk into our schools. We should not be worried about the things we are worried about. We should not be grieving the people we are grieving. But we have a chance to change things. We have a chance to make this the last generation that ever has to deal with the threat of school shootings. We can do this, but we need to come together. Collective action is by far the best answer. We have to make our representatives listen to our voices. Numbers are better than one. We have to use this time to speak up. We have to be involved in our community because that is the best way to defend it.
Okay guys, so if you see we have a few people holding these posters with QR codes. If you scan the QR codes, they'll link to either contact forms or a vote.org. These are really important because if we're able to contact our representatives, that'll mean that we're paying attention and we're listening. Because what these Congress people need is votes to stay in power. We are the votes and we are that voice. So make your voice heard and tell your representative that you want secure gun laws. You want gun control laws. You want common sense gun laws to protect our students. Because why are we required to go to a school if it can't ensure our safety? So please, as you leave, consider scanning the QR codes and sending a message to your congressperson. Thank you for coming today. Woo!